So I will be your moderator for the day. My name is Reina Otsuka. I'm the lead for the digital innovation for nature and climate at the United Nations Development Program. I will start by a few words and then introduce the distinguished panel here. So UNDP has a global offer called the Digital for Planet to to accelerate the digitalization for climate and nature action through digital transformation. And we noticed that digital needs to be used in a way that it changes the way we operate, changes the way the society operates, not just to have new apps or here or there. And so this digital transformation approach is very important. And so today we wanted to discuss what does that look like in reality with a few countries and our partner here on the stage. And we're very happy to see the COP29 presidency's declaration for green digital action was just endorsed this morning, which says that digital has to be at the heart of climate policies, and also the ICT sector has to be made green. So let's now move on to the panel, and I will start from introducing the three gentlemen on stage here. Let me start from, from the far end, Mr. Seth Ayer from the World Bank. Thank you for being here. And then Mr. Justin Prosper, the Director General of Climate Change, Ministry of Agriculture, Climate Change and Environment from Seychelles. And then Mr. Abhidapa Ibrahim. He is the Energy Department Director, Minister of Energy and Water Resources from Somalia. So thank you so much for being here. So maybe I'll start from Seth. As World Bank, you really work on digital and green intersection. And maybe if you can give us a few words on like a framing of how we should think about the digital transformation issue.
Thank you very much, Reina, and very pleased to be part of the panel discussion today. So maybe a couple things that we think about in the context of the digital transformation and linking that with the climate agenda. So one thing that is a priority for us is around closing both the connectivity gap as well as the data infrastructure gap. So at the moment, there are roughly 2.6 billion people who are still not online. So almost a third of the world's population is not connected to the internet. At the same time, on data infrastructure, when we talk about AI and all of these amazing new applications, less than 20% of low and middle income countries, so developing countries as a whole, have access to modern data infrastructure. So without the data infrastructure, without the connectivity, new applications, whether it's AI-enabled applications or even being able to do early warning systems, are very difficult, if not impossible to use. And we've also looked at some of the environmental impacts. So as we think about closing these gaps, we know that currently the digital sector is producing somewhere between 1.5 to 4% of all GHG emissions globally. And that's at the point right now with the existing infrastructure in place. I'm sure everybody has seen some of the predictions around that AI, and especially generative AI, could do for energy demand going forward. So a key issue is how do we close these important digital gaps and make sure that the digital gaps don't expand, especially with new applications like AI, while doing so in a sustainable way. So that's our approach on how we kind of think about things. And then I can talk maybe a bit further at the next point on some of the things that we're doing to try to close those gaps in a sustainable way.
Thank you so much, Seth. Since you mentioned the connectivity issue, the other dimension of that is energy access as well, where still 500 million people don't have access to energy. So I think I'll now turn to Abdibata, who is working on energy from Somalia, on where you are in your energy journey, and also just a quick taste of what you are doing on digitalization.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much for the opportunity here to present a case of Somalia. And first, let me start generally as a government level. and we have policy and strategy for ICT, and that policy we are currently working on it, and as a government level. So the country now and connectivity is close to 70%. It's already the connectivity level in terms of the mobile network and also in terms of the mobile payment as well. And the ministry, it's not the first time that we carry out the digitalization of energy access. We have already developed an least cost geospatial identification planning, which the World Bank team has supported us for Somalia. And one of the main consideration of that assignment was in order for us to get the universal electricity access by 2030. One of the key results that we have reached within that assignment was to use mini grids. So, and after that, also we came into collaboration with the UNDP also for doing digital readiness assessment that we are recently the finalizing these validations, and that digital assessment, readiness assessment, focusing on how to unlock the mini grids using the digitalization technologies. So that study was focused on three main areas. Firstly, for e-government, and which utilization of utilization of digital technologies to increase, service delivery for the governments. The second component was to use the mobile payment, and the third is by using of digitalization tools for planning and as well for operation efficiency for the mini grids and remote monitoring for in order for the mini grids also. Those are the remote areas. This study has finished, so now we're currently focusing on the implementation of that mini grids in order for us to benefit this technology for reaching our NDC target as well, our universal energy access. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We'll come back to you on more on the DRA, the Digital Readiness Assessment. But I'll now turn to Justin. I think from Seychelles, one very important item we'd like to discuss with you is your transparency work. Could you perhaps introduce a little bit how you are, where you are in your transparency journey, and if maybe explain a little bit what were the challenges you had in terms of data or the quality of your transparency work in order to report to the NDCs.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, Rina. For I'm coming from a point of a small island, so small island meaning we have limited resources. We can put it that way, and I myself have been in the GIS and data management field for a while, and data. Sadly, up till now, it's something that we're still trying to get right. I'm sure a lot of places have the same problems. Um, we um, we have been collecting data for quite a while, but for to have such a proper system that you report on, it has to be credible. It has to be stored somewhere. It has to be accessible to everyone. And this is something that we've tried a few times and have issues with, but over the last um, couple of years, we've made some headway. And right now, we are, with the assistance of UNDP, for instance, we are working with a team to build an MRV system for the monitoring and reporting and verification, and that is almost coming to a close. I mean, the project is almost coming to a close, and we've done quite a bit of work, and data has been collected um, quite significantly and uploaded. Just to point out that from my side, where I hail from, was from a GIS perspective. We already had before done quite a bit of work, and our geo database is for instance, at the ministry is quite it's we've got the data in there, but when it comes to other data sets, for instance, with the GHG and all that, this is where we've had problems, and and data is scattered over the place. And we're trying to sort this issue out and put it in at least in one place so that it can be accessible to all and in a format that is that can be used for such works. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Justin. Seth, so perhaps I know that you have to also leave a little bit early. So the next question, I guess, what would be some examples if you can share from World Bank that on digital transformation, especially in this area of climate change?
Okay. No, very good. Maybe one example I'll link in on the energy side. So things that we've seen where now a lot there's lots of opportunities to do pay as you go, given mobile platforms. We're seeing new ways in which you can extend connectivity access through pay-as-you-go models, linked also with energy access. So for instance, in Mozambique, we have a project where communities that both don't have access to connectivity, so mobile phones, or access to electricity, they are able to get a mobile phone and a household solar panel that they can then generate electricity in order to power their mobile phone, and they then use pay-as-you-go payment plans in order to repay for the cost of the home solar system. So thinking about innovative business models that build on opportunities where you can tap into people's ability to pay in small payments over time to then be able to support getting access to both connectivity and energy. As you rightfully point out, you need both in order for the connectivity to work and obviously for many other reasons. One other example maybe to share, and this is some research that we did during the pandemic. And so when we looked at countries that had digital systems in place, so they had good broadband, good connectivity, they had digital platforms for their social protection, and they also had digital ID systems in place. And that's something that we're working with Somalia on as well. If you had those digital platforms in place, those countries with those systems, they were able to reach 3 times the number of people with cash transfers programs to support them during the pandemic. So we know that digital systems are essential for ensuring resilience. And so whether it's for a pandemic or for a climate event, if you can use those digital platforms for both preemptive, so before a climate event, for emergency response during the event, and then for post-disaster recovery, it can have a huge impact. In one example from Ethiopia, where we are supporting a digital ID system so that you are able to identify those individuals that are living in climate vulnerable populations. And then that we link that with a project that's supporting social protection services. And these social protection services are funds specifically for communities that are climate vulnerable. So when you have those two systems together, then in advance of a climate event, you can more easily make those transfers because you have the ID, you can determine where the person is living, they can have a bank account because they can do the Know Your Customer, the KYC requirements, and then the Social Protection Program can transfer the funds directly. No need to come in person, so it also addresses emission aspects as far as not only the person's travel time, but also the emissions associated with having to show up and get physical cash.
Thank you, Seth. Really rich examples of how digital is really integrating these different problem areas, and we shouldn't be going in silos trying to solve one by one. So thank you so much for that. Um, can you still stay? Or?
Yes, I can stay for one more question if that's
All right.
okay. But please
So
go to the other colleagues first.
thank you so much. Um, I think what Seth says is very interesting because it really reflects how we worked on the digital readiness assessment, where just to give the audience a little bit more background on it, the digital readiness assessment is a methodology that UNDP developed, which Somalia has taken up in the mini-grid sector. And how we look at it is we don't just look at, what application do you need, but we look at it in a systematic way. What is the policy need? What is the government capacity gap? What is the gap in the private sector? What is the gap or the digital literacy or inequality in the people? And then, of course, we look at the connectivity as well as the digital public infrastructure, which Seth, you just mentioned by mentioning the digital ID system. So, in Somalia, we looked through all of these for the mini grid sector in the past few months. And I think if I can pass it to you on how you went through the process and what kind of findings came out of this assessment.
Yes, thank you very much for the good question. Um, Firstly, the methodology which UNDP regionally and global level has developed, Somalia was first countries to implement that methodology, and also for the sake of our interests in the African Mini Grid program and a project which currently we are partnering with UNDP. So we are focused only on the utilization of those technologies in unlocking the mini grid sector. So we have carried out that assessment online, and tool we have used it for doing the data collections. There was closely more than 50 people were participated from all the different sectors, including the governments and private sectors, NGOs, academia, and all and under the project developers and even the technical professionals they are doing on daily basis for mini grid implementations. So that study has came out and after doing an analysis and also validating with the different stakeholders has came out with the four main strategies to support. Firstly, and, the network broadband was quite limited in respect to an area that we think that to electrify in the coming years and because of the country's 70% coverage, so the next 30% also still unelectrified. So and there is quite a gap between the network coverage strategy and rural electrification strategy. So one of the recommendations came out was to those ministries and institutions that they are working in energy as well as the network infrastructure to work together in order for them to utilize in electrifications. So this was the first one. The second one was to prioritize the policy and many policy and regulation which is dedicated for mini grid sector. Because of mini grids, it's require a lot of support. It's require a lot of regulations, which is a little bit different from utility scale. So, and one of the recommendations has come out. Part of this point was even and the stakeholder was requested from us also to include a chapter inside the regulations only promoting the digitalization of the mini grids because of they see that when using a mini grid with digitalization is quite more in terms of the efficiency and also in terms of reliability as well because of the operation and maintenance then remote monitoring as well. And the third point was as per the recommendation from the DRA assessment was uh, currently there is no tools, digital tools that currently use it for mini grid, for planning and also operation and maintenance, for e-tendering purpose, for all those aspects. Also, they requested to develop, the stakeholders requested us to develop in order for them to identify what's the specific sites that economically and also visible in order for them also to go under and assess also that using mini grids in digital planning tools as well. We already implemented one, but that one was not enough, was not more comprehensive. And the last point came out from the assessment was women empowerment. During our data collections, then after that, the woman participation on even was quite minimum. That was the nature of the business in the country. So that sector, there is no more women participation in energy in general, and also in mini grid, specifically. So that also a point has came out in order to have more inclusive with the different parts of the community. That was the. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I guess Cess, before you go, I will ask you the last question. Listening to listening to that Somalia example, do you have any advice, or what do you see some entry points for taking the digital transformation approach might be?
Thank you very much, and appreciate colleagues. Sorry that I have to leave a little bit early. I think one of the things that Reina you mentioned as far as what's unique about COP29 is the Green Digital Declaration. And within the Green Digital Declaration, there are several objectives that are highlighted as far as priority areas, ways in which that digital technologies can support climate action. This includes ways in which you can use digital to enhance climate resilience, ways in which you can think about designing digital infrastructure that is both climate resilient and also reducing emissions, ways that you can use data better for informed decision making. I think as we look ahead to COP30, and my understanding is that countries are going to revisit their NDCs, is there some language? We did some analysis to look at the existing NDCs, and about 65% of them mention technology, but it's mentioned quite broadly. And I think there's an opportunity, maybe through the Green Digital Declaration, to pull some language in as part of the revisions to the NDCs. Think about ways in which digital solutions can be more explicitly mentioned in some of the actions that you want to take. So if it's in the Seychelles, using data to better inform decision making. We're doing some work in the Maldives around what we're calling a climate data sharing platform. They have a particular issue around coral reef health because they want to minimize the damage done to the reefs in order to protect the islands, also for fisheries and tourism. Currently, the data all sits within the Ministry of Environment. How can we support that data sharing cross government? So when you're building roads or bridges or hotels, you can also assess the impact on the coral reefs, and that data sharing becomes key. So I think ahead of COP30 and as countries revisit their NDCs, can we draw some insights and inspiration from the Green Digital Declaration to provide some more inputs or explicit ideas into the NDCs on commitments that the countries can make around really leveraging digital to address some of the key challenges that they want to target going forward.
Thank you so much. That's a very interesting recommendation, and I think we should work closely together for the next iteration.
Absolutely, absolutely, and thank you so much for the opportunity to participate today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Seth. So yes, Justin, thank you for waiting.
No problem.
Next to you. So going back to, and it's interesting you also mentioned the GIS system because the geospatial part of the NDCs and tracking is also very important. But before going there, I think Seychelles is now trying to get to the conclusion of the transparency digital system. Can you perhaps explain how you worked on the system, including we had the scoping workshop, and you've been working on this for several months now. How did you approach it, and did you see anything that was different from other projects that you have around transparency?
Thank you. We yes and no. So we, like I said, we've been for quite some time working with data and trying to solve the issue. So when the people working on the system came into play, especially on the local side, so they already had an idea. So how where to tackle the problem, and we did a lot of consultative meetings and find out how to best tackle the problem. Because if you know where everything is, how everything can be shared, because the data accessibility, the data, like I said earlier, the data accessibility and format plays an important role. So from the get-go, as in parallel as you working on obtaining the data, so it's important ensuring that what you're going to get is in the right format. So there was quite a bit of that. So of course the technical bit is just design and build sort of, but the main issue was mostly the sorting the data. As I said earlier, and GIS wise, we've been more on that side for some time. So this was that's the easy part. You already have the databases from one or two main ministries. Those are easy to get and connect. But from all the, like I said, the GHGs where data is from different departments, then that is where the issues and that is where it lied, and we had to overcome this problem.
Thank you so much, Justin. And it's interesting because Seychelles has a very good open data system as well. And I think even this transparency system will also contribute to the opening of this data, which will then enhance this more analysis in different ways.
So most definitely we we're trying to get it out. We're tiny nation, with like I said, limited resources. We want to maximize um, this action basically. So us putting everything out there in a format that can be used by everybody, and the data is not sitting on someone's laptop somewhere, as has been the case, especially with the different type of inventories and so on. Um, this is where we want is what we want to achieve with the transparency, and especially with the MRB system that we're doing now, so that it's there. Anyone can come access, um, not just locally, internationally. It's easy to see what is happening, what the current situation is at any given time.
Thank you. That's a very great vision and the open data policy or the direction that you're taking. Thank you so much. Um, so I'd like to also invite Jampo Aka. Jampo is from the UNDP country office of Cote d'Ivoire to introduce a little bit about how Cote d'Ivoire approached the DRA. And then after the DRA, it also embarked on several other digital initiatives that came out of the recommendation. So Jampo, over to you.
Thank you, Rena. Sorry for my late. Uh, in our request, yes, we get the opportunity of the area to identify the key sector where we need to build a fantastic model on digital office. For this area, we identify environment sectors, connect with NDCs and forestry sectors, who are the key sector where we need to work on digitalization. So we work with Ministry of Environment to develop a carbon registries. It is a fantastic system where give us the transparency in the carbon market in the context of Paris Agreement. So with this job, it was the fantastic job because it is not only to have transparencies, but with this system, we use it for inclusive model to engage communities, to engage private sectors and the government in the key action in the climate change. After this job, I think Ministry of Forest identify this opportunity to build a fantastic digital infrastructure for ministry for forestry sectors. So at this moment, we work with Ministry of Forest to develop a digital system for forestry monitoring, reforestation activities monitoring, also agroforestry activities monitoring. And the big part of this system we are going to use to give the ownership on the tree to a farmer. For us, for UNDP, this is a fantastic approach because during many years, the communities don't have the ownership on the trees, and this create deforestation. And last 5 years, government have modified its legislation to give this ownership, but in the practice, we don't have anything to make this practice. So with this digital infrastructure, government are going to make the change, make the big change because now the farmers can have IT identity and have the ownership of this. This action make many big difference. So we have another system that we try to develop with Ministry of Forest is the PACE program. At this moment, we have many small PACE project. So now government see in this digital infrastructure the opportunity to have the national this payment of ecosystem service national system we can improve we can make the the difference in the forest reforestation so we we take this opportunity with the to identify each sectors like energies but at this moment we have the reflection with energy sectors to do something the same with Ministry of Agriculture so for me is a I think this is a good opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Jean Paul. Um, so maybe reflecting on what you just said, Abdiba, what do you think would be the next steps for your DRA recommendations? You have many good recommendations. So moving forward, and it's interesting, it was not just with the Minister of Environment, also with Forestry, different ministries were involved. So what's your next vision?
Yes, thank you very much. It was really amazing Cote d'Ivoire experience. So for us, we are only focused only ICT and energy as well. Those two sectors. But looking forward also with our collaboration, so we can do better and also see that and how DRA can support all the rest of sectors, including forestry as well. It's really amazing, and the outcomes, was really great, and we look forward to the implementation of them. And firstly, for the digital infrastructure development, it will be the first part. It will be an enabler also for all the other sectors. This should be the first part, and we will work with the Ministry of ICT and National Communication Authority, as well as the private sectors, the telecom operators, as well, in order for us to align together. Where we think that we can give the access of electricity or another mobile broadband to be there, and also be available for mobile payment and remove the operation and monitoring aspects. So this will be the first part. Looking forward more expansion of the network infrastructure. Secondly, we are already working on policy and regulatory environment. To enable the mini grid sector. This currently, we were knew that this recommendation will come from the DRA. That's why we are currently working on in the consultants. Also, we will brief them also to include the recommendation as came out also to be part of the recommendation and last but not least the women participation and inclusivity is really very important under the development of digital tools. Yeah, this will be the last part. And currently, there is so different applications that already exist in the ministry, like list cost geospatial electrification planning, which is an open source software ONSES. And also there is another one, digital management information system, which already in place. So we don't want it to build new things, and we wanted to upgrade what's currently on ground to build on in order to complete the rest of activities that we require, like e-tendering, like planning, operation maintenance, and also selecting the proper mini-grid sites. So we think that build on what's currently existing, so it's much easier for us, and also utilization of already existing resources as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Wonderful points, and really looking forward to the next steps. Um, Justin, so I guess what will be your next steps? What kind of work do you still need to do to involve all of the other sectors? This is a keyword I think that's also coming up, that it can't just be the Minister of Environment, it has to be with other NDC sectors. What would be your next steps or barriers that you have to overcome from here? And also, if you have any, I think Seychelles is actually one of the front runner countries when it comes to this digital transparency system. Once it launches, if you have any advice to or lessons learned that you want to share, please do share.
Thank you. Sorry about that. Um, One thing I want to point out is the government is also embarking on what we call a digitalization process. All the We have quite a bit of services now that is digital and which facilitated connectivity. But this is mostly in the private sector and SOEs. But the government itself, for various reasons, for space, um, and as we have up there, AI is something that we want to move into. So this is something that is like the basis, is a basis for you to have a system to better improve your system. So we're working on or we'll launch pretty soon. I mean, all the departments will become will be digitized and go into the digitalization process. And what we're doing with the transparency will also fit into the process. And with such connectivity improved, then it will be easier. So instead of everybody can play their part, you mainstream out the activities and everybody do their part. The system is there, the infrastructure is there. Then you just connect to the system. It's something that you have to get right though. If you There's a lot of tools out there, so if you don't do it properly, it can set you backward actually. So there's in terms of lessons learned is getting to find the right tools, and also you need to build the capacity of personnel. There are people that would now have to be reskilled, for instance. So those are things that you have to take into consideration. You have to take into consideration the cost. How do you deal with how do you pay for these things? And for instance, you need to align it to your strategy, to your national development strategy. Therefore, that can go into your budget over the longer term, and then you can have the money. You can start having your own. You can have your own money first to get into it as you seek funding from other sources to help, because it will cost quite a bit.
Thank you so much, and also pointing out the reality. Um, so I guess we're over time almost. So if there's any question from the audience, we can take one. But if not, I do have one last question. So if you have one call for partnerships to everybody who's watching this also online, what would that be?
I would like to add one thing before to answer your question. At this moment, in our course, government, like I said, have many digital infrastructure in different sectors, but it comes with a key challenge. I want to add three. First is the disponibility of the data. It's very important because when you work in the forestry sectors, we need many data, and if you put aggregated challenge on this, that is a big challenge. The second is the interoperability with distributed system. When you speak about agroforestry, we have Ministry of Forest, we have Ministry of Agriculture, and now we speak about carbon credit that we have the registry. So we need to create different interoperability capacity to connect all. And last is, like I said, the capacity building in agriculture. We do this the DRA analysis, but you need to reinforce to support the capacity building to use all different digital tools. I come from UNDPs, so I don't have many things to add and to answer. But the key point that I think is very important to have to develop the partnership in terms of the government, but partnership between our different organizations. We bring different experience, different expertise, how we can collaborate to have the great support to the government. This is the key point that I can see, and have opportunity to mobilize money to help the government in this digital context. Thank you.
Um, yeah, in agreement, I will also start with you need to have internally in your own country, have the partnership within your country or different departments, because then if that doesn't happen, then you can have all the external, but internal, if it doesn't work, you will fall flat on your face, basically. So have the internal, and then with your other with other bilaterals with other countries, from a small country's perspective, um, it is you don't have all the skills, the necessary skills. You're not expert in everything, but if you're doing something, you've been doing it right, you've had your support elsewhere, it's good to pass on the knowledge to other partners who are starting behind. And in return, also what they are doing, you can do this exchange. And of course, as you say, those things are costly and capacity needs to be built. You need other external organizations for instance, with the transfer, we're working um, with UNDP, for instance, but we have a lot of other partnerships, NDC partnerships, other World Bank, and different implementers and different funders as well. So it's a multi partnership um, situation, put it that way. There are others that are closer, but everybody needs to be in it for the connectivity. Thank you.
Yes, I agree with what has proposed, and I will increase on to in order for us a unified digitalization, and also to integrate what is existing. This is also most important part, and then to collaborate locally and internationally as well, and to do digitalization of all the infrastructures in order for us to reach our NDC target, as well as to be ready for the next AI use. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. This will be the end of this panel. Thank you for listening, and thank you so much to the wonderful panelists. Have a great rest of the day.